Hello and welcome to the Home Screen Podcast. This is episode 31, and today we're going to be doing the second of 3 special episodes where in each one we talk to a different filmmaker about their film. And this episode we're going to be focusing on the film Love, Brooklyn. As with the previous episode, I was very fortunate to be able to sit down and discuss this film with the director herself, Rachael Abigail Holder. This is a full feature film that was part of London Film Festival this year, so keep an eye out for it when it releases sometime over the next year or so. I touched on this briefly as part of the LFF recap 2 episodes ago, but a little bit about this film before we jump into that interview. So this film focuses on a man called Roger, played by Andre Holland, who's a New York writer, and the film kind of shows him navigating 2 complicated relationships between his ex-girlfriend and his current lover. I really enjoyed this film, and something that I wanted to touch on straight away off the bat, which is probably obvious by the title, but this film is such an endearing love letter to Brooklyn and the area and the communities within it. I really enjoyed seeing Brooklyn. I feel like in most depictions of New York in film and TV, you always see the hustle and bustle of New York, of the center, of the taxis and people rushing around. Being able to see Brooklyn like this, I can't remember, apart from an odd scene here or there in other films, I don't think I've really seen Brooklyn depicted in such a personal way as this in a feature film before. The contrast really stands out. It feels so much more suburban. It feels like a very welcoming location and community. As the director, Rachael Abigail Holder, is from New York herself, that definitely is the reasoning behind the authenticity. It feels very sincere, and there's lots of nice little details which you get when you have a director that's as familiar with the location as this. Something that we touch on in the interview is the kind of concept of this being a dramedy, combining the comedic elements with a serious story at its heart. I guess at the end of the day, these genre labels are exactly that, they're just labels. It doesn't define a film. I think that Love, Brooklyn in particular hits a really nice tonal balance. Sure, it's lighthearted in the conversations, but this feels like these are real people's lives. I'm not saying this is based on reality, but this feels like something that could be. You know, it feels like these could be real people, dealing with very real issues and discussing them in very realistic ways. The whole cast is amazing, but I think for me the standout is definitely Andre Holland. I think he does an incredible job of trying to navigate his sticky situation with these 2 relationships, of trying to feel where he is with his ex, while also trying to get close to his current lover and bond with her daughter, but not overstepping any boundaries. It's a balancing act, but I think his delivery and portrayal is very genuine, and it does come across as someone who's just trying to do the right thing. It'll sound a little bit cliche, but the longer the film went on, I found myself getting more drawn in and more invested into these characters, and ultimately just wanting the best for everyone, wanting it to be a good outcome. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think that the way the film wraps itself up in the end is the best way it could have done it, in my opinion. It's also worth mentioning that for a film that's 97 minutes long, apart from a few occasional pauses here and there, this film is essentially just dialogue for the entire runtime, and I have to give the respect where it's due to the writing for this. It never feels unnecessarily long. I think the dialogue always feels like it serves a purpose, fleshing out these characters and drawing you further into the relationships. Okay, so we'll jump into the interview. So please enjoy this short interview with myself and the director, Rachael Abigail Holder. I'd love to chat to you about Love, Brooklyn. Firstly, how have you found the festival so far?
I literally landed like 2 hours ago from New York, yeah. So I mean, it seems nice.
Yeah. Are you feeling jet lagged at all, or are you?
No, I also have a baby at home, so I feel free.
Okay. I can imagine. So when's your first sort of event, like screening-wise then?
My first screening is, I think, a couple of hours after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Couldn't tell you.
Good job.
But someone made a really nice Google Doc for me,
Oh,
and I'm going to
perfect.
check that out and know where I'm going next.
Just go with the flow.
Yes, yeah.
I loved the film. I really enjoyed it. I watched it yesterday on the digital library.
Okay.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, nice.
One thing that I picked up on, it felt really like naturalistic
Yeah.
in the dialogue. So how much of that was straight from the scripts, or was there any of that was improvised by the cast?
Yeah, I really wanted our actors to be able to play. They're all just so brilliant, and so it was a really fun opportunity for me to just like watch them play. And so a lot of the stuff that's in there was just sort of naturally what happened on the day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the interactions, especially with almost like the kind of like flirting interactions, just felt so natural. I guess you just kind of like.
Actually, you know, a lot of the flirting stuff specifically was on book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, some of the, like, a lot of the improv stuff was when they were just, like, fucking around, you know, and joking around with each other. But when, like, they were proper flirting, like, that was the script. That was Paul's writing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I would have thought it'd be the other way around, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
Something that came to mind is about like dramedies.
Mhm.
So how did you sort of like find a balance when putting it together of the drama and the comedy and too much of one or the other? How did you sort of come to that
I
balance?
think that like it's about not really separating the two. There are moments when so like Andre's not really a comedic actor.
Yeah.
He's a real actor, and I think that like comedy is so hard, and when you enter that pursuit to have a laugh, it sort of doesn't work. And so we were just trying to play everything as real as possible, and there were just natural moments in life that are hilarious. I think that approach, allowed us to find the funny naturally.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that. Obviously, it is called Love Brooklyn, and it felt like a love letter to Brooklyn and the area. Is that something that you've been able to draw from, like being from New York yourself? Was there like locations or bits of it that are from your memories and things?
Yeah. So we really wanted the backdrop to feel a part of the film and not have like cutaways to Brooklyn, but for it to feel like a part of the whole piece. And I didn't want to do what like tourists focus on
Yeah.
when when they come to Brooklyn. I wanted to show like, our parks, our beautiful green. One of my North Stars in making this film was I wanted the audience to leave feeling like they've just spent some time in nature, even though it's a movie about Brooklyn. Because Brooklyn gives me so much solace and so much peace, and I think everybody needs a little bit of that right now.
Well, it's nice because I mean I visited New York once when I was very young, and being a film fan, there's so many like bits of New York everyone's used to seeing.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see a different side to it of like the suburban areas and the parks, and it did feel like a different side. I know it's a different district, but it felt like a different side of the city.
Cool.
And then last question, just before we wrap up, what's your favorite shot of the film?
My favorite shot of the film is the two shot of Roger and Allie in the awkward dinner scene. Because we don't cut away and we just let them sit in the discomfort of what that is, and that was really funny. I love comedy so much, and there isn't a ton of laugh out loud moments, and that moment always makes me laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my personal favorite, I guess it's kind of a motif throughout, is the bike shots.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was really nice intro.
Oh, nice.
Again, it really establishes it in a place and time, and seeing it 2 or 3 versions of it throughout was a nice kind of like pillar throughout the film.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's all I've got time for. But thank you
so much,
Josh.
Josh.
You very much.
It was great.
Really appreciate it. Okay, and that was the interview. Thank you very much again to Rachael Abigail Holder and the LFF delegates team for facilitating this interview. It was great to have a chat to her, and I think it was a nice bookend of the festival for me personally, getting to interview both these directors and discuss their films respectively. In the interview, I think it was really nice how she mentioned about how Andre not being necessarily a comedic actor, he's a proper drama actor, and how comedy is a tricky balance to find, but they found a lot of the comedy in just the natural funny moments of life in the script. That definitely comes across extremely well. It feels so natural, as if it was just a normal conversation happening. And it was also lovely just getting to chat to her about Brooklyn itself, about how the location itself has such character. As I mentioned earlier, it feels so different than the hustle and bustle of New York. It's so much more open, the green spaces, and as the title of the film mentions, Love Brooklyn, it really is a love letter to Brooklyn. And on that note, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home Screen Podcast. Please check the episode description. That's got all the links to our social medias. Give us a follow, give us a rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode where we've got one final interview with another director about their short film. Until next time, bye.